Hello and welcome back. You know, I love the USO calendars because they keep you appraised of the major events in various wars. For example, May's jam-packed. May 4th, Battle of the Coral Sea. We're going to talk about that one in a minute. May 6th, they include Bob Hope. It was the very first show he ever did for the USO at March Field Air Base in California. May 8th, 1945, VE Day, Victory in Europe Day. Of course, then there's Mother's Day. We can't forget that one. Then there's the 19th, this Armed Forces Day. The 22nd is National Maritime Day. Then, of course, on the end of the month is Memorial Day, a day to remember. And then, of course, there's the term May Day, May Day, May Day. Just last night, I was with a 94-year-old World War II veteran who was a B-17 pilot. And someone asked him, did you ever hear the term May Day, May Day? Bear in mind, he was 20 when he was in those skies over Germany. And he said, yes, that is precisely where he heard May Day, was in the battles in the air over Germany. But getting back to the Battle of the Coral Sea, the Battle of the Coral Sea was fascinating in world history and rarely discussed, but it has two very important factors that we should never remember or never forget. We should always remember. Number one is it was the first carrier-to-carrier battle. Now, what does that mean? That means that they were hundreds of miles apart and they never even saw each other. But the airplanes they launched were to do the damage on each other. And once they found each other in the sky, this is where the sky really, the advantage of the airplanes really took hold off of these aircraft carriers. Number two, and also extremely important, is the first time they had blocked the Japanese from moving south. What had happened is after Doolittle's raid, the Japanese had decided not to go into India, but to try and spread further south to defend more perimeter of their homeland and also to attack Australia and New Zealand. That was their goal, and we stopped them. We lost the Lexington, sadly, the Lady Lux, also known as the Ghost, because she was not painted, she was not camouflaged like the other battleships, and to some she appeared as a ghost, so one of her nicknames was the Ghost. Well, during the battle, she was hit hard. She stayed afloat, and actually planes were still able to land and to take off, but then they controlled one fire, but the vapors of the gas spread and she started to engulf in flame again, and there was big blasts and things of that sort, so they had to abandon ship. And the captain waited till the very end, made sure all of his men were safely off. They lost 216 crew members that day, howsomever. And then the Phelps came in and torpedoed her, and she sank. The Yorktown was also injured. However, the Yorktown, luckily, was able to limp back to Pearl Harbor, be fixed, and be ready for the Battle of Midway, which was the next month, which was the biggest turning point in the war against Japan. Also, our men, our bombers, were able to injure two of the Japanese carriers, two of their big ones, which had taken a very major role in the attack on Pearl Harbor. One of them, they'd lost so many of their pilots they didn't put it in the Battle of Midway, and the other one was so badly damaged it couldn't go to the Battle of Midway, which really helped us in manpower against them at Midway. It gave us the advantage. One of the saddest parts of the Battle of the Coral Sea was of the 700, and I believe it was 708 men that were lost that day, included 68 that had abandoned their ship. It was a tanker, an oil tanker, and they abandoned it, and they strapped rafts together But then they floated for 9 days. And in those 9 days, without water, without food, in the blazing sun, most of them perished. In fact, when they were finally discovered, only 4 were still alive, and they were in such bad shape that 2 more would perish, leaving only 2 to survive out of the 68. Now on a happy thought. On March 4th of this year, 2018, entrepreneur and Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen discovered where the Lexington, the Lex, had sunk 200 miles to rest on the bottom of the Coral Sea. Amazingly, they say that a lot of the airplanes that were still on it were in good enough shape for something that sat for 76 years. So history is always all around us. We need to continue to thank and remember those who have given all that they have, including their lives, to protect us. Thank those who are still in service for us. And teach peace, most importantly. Thank you for joining me. As I said, it's May, so there'll be more coming up. Thank you.